a house is not an investment. Because even burial here is expensive. To die is expensive. When I heard about the amount to buy a coffin and to even buy a spot in the graveyard, I was like, yeah, you just keep paying. You
You're paying
just keep
somebody
paying something every time. And that is just if you don't pay back in 1 month, the next month it doubles. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Success, and today I have a guest with me. Today we're going to be talking about a series of things. We're going to be talking finance in the United States, especially for new immigrants and for people that have been here for a while too. This is one video I've always wanted to do because I love the topic and I feel like more people should be aware of some things to do and not to do when you get here. So with me, I have Esther. I'm just going to let her introduce herself better.
Good morning, everybody, or hello from wherever in the world you are. My name is Esther Zufeld. I'm a financial consultant, coach, and an investment advisor. My goal is to help people make money, save money, and get out of debt.
When did you start doing this?
I've been in the financial world since 2015 actually. So this makes it 8 years.
And what motivated you to start? Did you make a mistake or
I made
did
several
you?
mistakes. I came here as a student on a student visa in '98, and my parents always taught me to not owe money to anybody, use your own money, and whatever you don't have, then you just don't use. And I followed that to a T until I made some friends who advised me otherwise. And being that they were not Nigerian, I probably should have thought otherwise and considered the fact that I had been trained to do something different. But I got involved with some credit card debt. I loaned a credit card to a friend that maxed out one of them, and I had to contest it. And it just made me realize that that wasn't the way forward. And then my husband and I were house poor. We decided to purchase a house in 2005 from scratch. And then the economic situation occurred and I lost my job, and then we couldn't afford the house, so we had to end up short sailing. And we just made a lot of different blunders. We bought timeshares, we bought cars we couldn't afford, a lot of different things. And I realized that I was not properly educated and I was not equipped to make decisions for myself. And even though my husband's an American, he's always been used to that. You buy and then you keep buying and keep buying because that's the way you make yourself happy. And I realized that that's not the way I wanted to live, and I wanted to make sure that other people understood that that's not the way forward.
I was literally opening my eyes to some of the things you said because I'm just hearing about it for the first time. I know many of you, before you get here, you've heard about the credit card, you've heard about the house loans and all of that. Well, in this video, we'll get to understand them better. So the first question I have is, for a first-time immigrant, you just came into the country, you're excited for new opportunities. What is the first financial decision to make? What should you do first?
I would say if you have any money on hand, opening a bank account. And at this time, it's not the most important to consider a high yield savings account, but just to have something, because a lot of times we want to hold it to our chest. And a lot of times if you have money here and it's accessible to you in your wallet, it's easy to spend because we have the fast food joints, you have a lot of different things that you can do, and it's easy to just have it flowing out of your account. Out of your pocket. So the first thing is to open a savings account.
So open a savings account, open a bank account and put some money in it. All right, the second question I have is, what financial benefits should we look for in a job? Because my channel is mostly nurses that watch it. Other people do too, but most of them get jobs and then come here as immigrants. So what benefits should they look out for in a job to make sure that they're getting what they're supposed to get, and what should they sign up for? Because I believe it's not everything that's necessary. Yeah.
So for me, I would recommend for sure, especially if you're a nurse, a lot of private hospitals offer you a 401k. I would always recommend, if they're offering any kind of match, that you match it to the max. Don't over. If they're offering you 4 or 6%, just put enough to match that. Anything outside of that, you want to open a Roth IRA outside of that. That's something separate. If you're working for a hospital and it's more of in the public sector, then they're going to offer you a 403b. The difference between the 401k and the 403b is the 401k, you have more options where there's an annuity attached to it. There could be bonds, there can be mutual funds, and then there's something called a 457. A lot of people don't work with companies with 457s, but those are the ones that they're with governmental retirement plans. And some people have them where they're not governmental, and those are kind of they're kind of dicey because with the governmental one, let's say the hospital situation, whether it's an educational center, goes down, government will give you the retirement even if the company is no longer. Whereas if you have one with a non-governmental agency, if the company goes under, they're not required to give you anything. You want to make sure you get health insurance because a lot of things we don't know what's going to happen in the future. Health-wise, you want to make sure you're always protected because you don't want to take all of that money out of your pocket. And then health and dental, dental and maybe eyes. But a lot of people are like, oh, I want life insurance through my job. If they give it to you for free, I would do that. And I would always say get something private on your own.
Just talking about the life insurance, because the reason why she said if we give it to you for free, take it, because the only time you get to be paid out that money is if you die on the job. And trust me, no matter what happens, they're going to find a way to prove that it's not your fault. Usually most companies give it free or for like some cents.
Yeah.
So that's fine, you could take it. But it's advisable to still get another one outside, because even burial here is expensive. To die is expensive. When I heard about the amount to buy a coffin and to even buy a spot in the graveyard, I was like... So the next question is, I'm sure you guys heard her say a lot of 401k, IRA, 403b, 426, whatever. Just try to walk us through gradually. What is a 401k?
So a 401k is a vehicle that you can use towards retirement. And like I said, that's usually more with for-profit organizations, and then that would be private hospitals in case of nurses. And without those, like I said, they have more options in terms of what you're investing in. With the 403bs, that's usually with the nonprofits, and then you only have usually the mutual funds and the annuities. And then the 457, like I said, that's a different bucket altogether. So initially, depending on the kind of 401k you have, there's some companies that have Roth 401ks, and then there's Roth 403bs. With the Roth, anything Roth usually is you put money in, and anything that you've put in, because it's already taxed money, when you want to take it out at the end, it's already been taxed. You don't have to pay anything on there. So if you have $1 million in your Roth IRA, that's $1 million you're retiring on. Whereas with the 401k, it's pre-tax money, and the 403b regular traditionals, it's pre-tax. So you didn't pay money on the front end, but you will pay it on the back end. So if you have $1 million in your 401k or 403b or whatever the case may be, at the end when you're getting ready to take it out for retirement, you will pay taxes on those. And then with all of them, they usually have what they call a penalty if you take it out before 59 and a half. So there are different caveats with each of those, and to talk about each of them individually would be a little bit extensive, but that's pretty much the short version of it.
It's very explanatory, but for basic, 401k is just like what we call pension in Nigeria. So it's a retirement account where you save money you're going to retire on. Retirement age here is about 65.
No, it used to be 65.
What is it now?
7 right now, but they're looking to up it to 70.
Oh, they'll make it 80 very soon. So. Oh my god. Yeah. Okay, so 67 is retirement. So basically, when you cannot work again or when you don't want to work again, this is money you're going to leave off on, pay your house rent, mortgage, or goodness gracious, you're done with mortgage at that age. So that's the money you leave off on basically. And you are literally putting in the money. If you're working for a company, the company is also matching to it. So for example, my company matches 6% of whatever I put in. So for example, I earn $100, I put in $6, the company matches that $6, and that means I'm saving $12 monthly. This is just an example, right? If I earn $100, and this money is being invested.
It's been invested.
So you can either lose or gain.
You can lose or gain. It's a gamble either way. But the hope is, the beauty of having a company that matches it is the insight is, if I was going to go put the money aside on my own, and let's say I lost all 6%, you lose all 6%. But if they're matching it and you lose 6%, you still have their 6%. Does that kind of make sense a little bit?
Yeah. Bank on what you're actually putting in, not what.
Depending on what you're putting in, and then also, even then, you could lose it all.
Do you think the gain is actually worth it? What if you're just saving your money? Like, since I want to save, let me just save for retirement. Like, don't you think? Yeah. Is there actually? Well, I feel like this 401k, it still goes down sometimes. So does it actually go up?
It goes. Oh yeah. You have, the thing is, you have to. It's time. If your time horizon is like 40 years, or you're young, so your time horizon is 40 years. If you're going to the age of retirement, so in 40 years, it's going to go up. It's going to go down.
The next question is going to be, how do you pace your personal finances and prepare for the future? Like, what do you need to do while you're young and to show that okay, you got everything under control?
I always tell people there are three things that I think that everybody needs. You need a financial education. Somebody or somewhere that you're going to get your information, not YouTube. I'm sorry. Don't get all your information from YouTube, TikTok, and all that, because not everybody's licensed. So you talk to somebody who's licensed and has your best interest at heart, because a lot of people also want to make a lot of money at your expense. And then I would say get a financial coach, somebody who that's their dedicated job, to make sure that they know what your goals are and to help you reach that. And then number three, to also have a game plan. So if you are wanting at 22 to retire at 57 or 52 or whatever the case may be, work with somebody who's going to coach you and tell you exactly what you need to do. Give you a script to kind of follow to get there, and then probably meet every 6 months, and they'll help you make sure that you're on task. If anything changes with your job, that's the person you talk to. And then you also want to have a financial vehicle that's going to be reliable to get you to that. And a lot of people have gigs. They do Uber Eats, they do all kinds of different things just to get them there sooner. So those are the things that I would recommend. Just having something reliable, having a coach, having a game plan, and having that education. Always important.
Did I tell you I once did DoorDash?
Hey, everybody's got to start somewhere. Everybody's got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Side hustle.
Right. So what interest rates have you actually seen the market get up to?
Like I said, that one
26%. Is that the highest you've seen?
Okay. I mean, but I don't follow, my time horizon is high. I still have over 20 years to retire. Yeah. So for me, I don't base it. I'm not constantly checking my account because I know it's going to go up. I know it's going to go down. And sometimes it stays consistent. But the time horizon I have is so long that I can wait out the highs and the lows. Now, somebody who's 57 or 60 something can't. So we do something that's more conservative for them. Right. With people who are younger, we do more aggressive because they have that time to be able to see the 10%. But if you see the 10% at 50 something and then it's minus something and it's your retirement time, then that may not be the best situation. So that's why you work with somebody that you meet with regularly and make sure that you're on task with your goals.
So do you get to pick what you want to invest in while you're putting 401k, or is it better to pick, or do you just leave it to the company?
The company can't pick for you because most times, 99% of the time, your HR department is not, they don't have the necessary skill. Not the skill. It's not even a skill. They don't have the licensure. So if you don't have the licensure and you make decisions for something like that, you can get sued. So most companies will say, here's your 401k, you go pick what you want to invest in. Most of us we're not well versed in all that. So usually a lot of my clients come to me and say, hey, let's sit down and let's look at what's available. Then based on their age, how long they think they're going to be there, then we make those decisions and say, hey, you know what, if you think you're going to be here for 10 years, then maybe you want to do something a little bit more aggressive.
I think I just let my company pick for me. I haven't.
You're in an age fund. You're in an age fund.
I didn't know that people actually pick them, so I just asked the question because I'm like, we should be allowed. I just signed up for it and I just, okay.
And then they make you sign something that you picked.
I didn't even know what I did. We're going to play a game. I'm just going to ask you a bunch of questions. You just pick the one. It's just like a yes or no. You just pick the one that works for you. And then after that, I'll go to a question one of my subscribers asked me. Just random though, so don't. So what would you prefer, car or house, if you had the money to buy?
I don't gamble much, so I would go for a car because I know that I can pay it off within a time frame that's reasonable.
What would you prefer? If you had just one amount of money, would you buy a dress or a hair? Your own dress.
Okay. I lost my hair.
I change my wigs like I change my clothes.
No, that's why I have lost.
And just very cost effective, guys. Heels or flat?
Everyday flat. Okay. I'm not that fancy.
Roth IRA or IRA?
I would go with a Roth IRA every single day.
City or the suburb?
Ooh, the suburbs. I'm not a city girl. Too much hustle and bustle. I like my life slow and easy.
Gold or silver?
I don't wear jewelry. Gold is more valuable, so I would do that. But my choice is always silver.
You just answered both of my questions.
No, gold would be if I'm investing, I'd buy gold.
Okay.
But as far I don't need gold in my area. I like silver personally.
Okay, got it. All right. So the next question, we're going to houses. We're going to understand the reason why she said she would pick a car over a house. Most people will pick house over a car, but let me know why you said that.
I would say because of my experience, not being well versed initially, not being educated, making decisions based on what others are doing, and that's the thing. Coming to the United States, Nigeria, and a lot of other foreign countries, you pay cash for your house, for your car, and things like that. And here, when you feel like you have this mortgage thing where you're going to pay it off at any point in time, you have to remember that there's also an interest rate attached to that. So with the interest rate attached, you might be signing up for a $300,000 house, but by the time you're 30 years over, that house may have cost you $720,000. So it may look good up front, but when you're considering the interest rate and the fact that if you don't pay it, you can lose it, whether in a short sale or any other means, or a foreclosure, which is even worse on your credit, that it just makes you realize. Like my dad told me when we bought a house, he's like, "You don't own." We were like, "Hey, Dad, we bought a house." And he said, "No, you bought debt." And I was like, "What do you mean? You just rating on my parade?" He said, "No." He said, "In Nigeria, you buy a house and you own the house." He said, "As long as your name is not on that title or on that deed, you don't own the house." And true enough, after 7 years, we lost our house. Unfortunately, that wasn't the plan. But the reason I would say a car any day is because I know what I cut my coat according to my my wallet, and I know that I can easily pay off $15,000-$20,000 debt within a certain time frame, 6 years, 5 years, whatever they give me, versus a house, which that's usually 30 years, and that's a long time to commit to and then hope that you can sustain.
That's a valid reason. I usually follow this lady on Instagram and TikTok. She's actually a licensed financial stuff. I think her name is Rainy or something. She talked about how a house is not an investment unless it's an investment. If it's a house you live, it's not an investment. It's a house that you're paying for. Just like she said, we buy houses cash in Nigeria, but here you have to be paying for the house. So if you bought a house, perfect, lucky you, goodness gracious, but you're paying for it, so it's still a debt unless you bought it cash. So the only time a house is an investment is actually when you buy it to flip or to resell, or you rent it out, or you do Airbnb or something. And then I've also had people who intentionally buy a house, live on it for a year or a couple of years, get equity on it, and then move out, buy another one and rent it. And then there are ways around it. There are ways you can actually make money from it, but yeah, you have to actually learn it. You have to study about it before you can actually make money from it, because just like she said, the interest rate is crazy and the term to pay it is long. At the end of the day, you're paying mostly interest than even actually the amount of money you used to buy the house. So yes, it's a good goal, but I feel like when you're coming here, like, don't feel pressured into buying a house or doing certain things unless you have information about it. Don't go by, oh, my friend did it, oh, they came, they bought a house in 1 year, in 6 months, I have to do the same thing. Good luck to them. But if their mortgage is 3,000 and they're struggling to pay, they earn 4,000 and they're paying a mortgage of 3,000, and you earn 4,000 and you're paying a rent of 1,000, who's better? Right? So you have to do it when you're ready, at your own time, after learning about it. And if I ever want to own a house alone myself, I'd actually want it to be an investment and not just somewhere I live depreciating. So make good financial choices with that. So someone asked specifically what the prices for houses cost in the US and how do we go about it.
The range of houses, I mean, depends on the state. I have a client who is in Atlanta, and while we were paying 400 and 500 here, she moved there and it was 200 something. So it depends on where you are. I know now in Texas, I saw another couple. They bought a house that here would be like 680,000. They bought it for 357. But the issue is that people are leaving here because a lot of people moved here from California. And we live in Arizona, and a lot of people moved from California, and they've brought up our housing market. So houses that we used to pay 250 for, we're now paying 400, 450 for, because the market has changed.
So it's true, Arizona is now very expensive. Maybe I should move to Texas.
You can try, but a lot of people are leaving here for Texas now.
People are leaving here for Texas. But I heard Texas is like dangerous, gunshots and everything. That's what people always say.
Hey, whatever works for you. If you want a house with that as potential, then how much do you want a house?
Oh my God. Is it the same interest rate across America though? Or is also state by state?
Some places are state by state depending on what every law is different. So yeah. Not substantially different, but usually, yeah, they're different.
So we can't give you a price or a range because America is run, each state is run as a country.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So the price of houses in Arizona is basically from, is there a house of 200? Maybe from 200 to...
She's like, come and tell me the gist. Come and tell me. I was like, unless you want to live in Wickenburg by yourself on dry land and be pulling water from a well.
Oh my
Unfortunately, what
Yeah.
I found is like 190, and you'll be in a manufactured home. You don't mind that,
Oh
which
my.
no.
So it's actually from the 300s
Comfortable.
upwards.
What?
See, it's not only the mortgage you're paying. By the time you calculate the mortgage monthly, you're only paying $200 a month. The rest is
On your
in interest on your
Mhm.
principal. That's on the 300,000 you bought the house. You're paying only like 200. The rest of the 2,700 is in interest rates, is in HOA. I think HOA is even different. Like depends on that's like homeowners association you're also gonna pay. So there's a lot of bills that comes to owning a house that you want to be informed about. Do I want you to own a house? Of course. I mean, very good, but you just need to be properly informed before going into it. There's property taxes as well. There's home insurances that you actually have to get from the mortgage, and then you also have to get your own separately in case some things in the house spoil. And mind you as well, if anything goes bad in the house, it's your house, you're gonna fix it. Unless if you're renting a house, you can always call your the owners of your house to fix them for you. And labor is not cheap. It's not. That's why they always say like try to have hand job when you're coming here, because most of the things are DIY. Why do you think everyone is on Instagram or trying to do things themselves? Because it's not like they enjoy doing them, even though some people actually do, but it's expensive. Labor is not cheap at all.
And talking about the property tax, I have a friend who they're Nigerian because they have the whole you need to pay off the house. So they paid off the house several years ago, and then they went to visit Nigeria, and they forgot about their property taxes for 2 years. And what they were sent a letter that stated that if they did not pay the property taxes in full, they would lose the house. And in her case, she's like, you paid off the house over 4,000, you're gonna lose the house, and that's exactly what it is, ladies and gentlemen. Property taxes.
Yeah, I've heard about it.
Never own anything seriously.
Yeah, you just keep paying. You just keep paying something every time. So it's something you have to get used to and be wise about it. We're not trying to scare you or anything, because I feel like people just come out to give the glamour about owning a house and all the stuff. It's good, you enjoy it, but you just have to keep paying something. So you cannot go out of a job. You cannot go out of a source of income. Even if you're not working, something has to be coming in, because you have to also be paying something. You cannot just not pay anything. The last question here is actually one of the things you mentioned, which is the major insurances you have to get. So I think you mentioned the health insurance.
Health insurance is important.
Do you really have to get a dental and eye insurance if you don't have eye problem? Especially
I have 20/20 vision. I don't really have I have it through my husband's job, but my husband, my son, they
use
have
glasses.
they use glasses and things like that. But usually those are like $18, so it's not
$18 is enough to get you a food. Please, if you don't have eye problem, if you don't need it. I know, but I'm kind of against that too, because when I saw a dentist, like I noticed when you use insurance, they pay you. No. Yeah, but that's actually one, because I mean, as Nigerians, we only go to the hospital or dentist when there's a problem, right? But then actually you're supposed to be seeing a dentist every 6 months, but you're just not going to see them and they'll tell you everything is fine. They're going to find something, which is okay. That's not my problem. But my problem with the system is sometimes when you pay cash for stuff, the price is reduced than when they bill insurance.
Yeah.
For example, when I work in the hospital, in my emergency room, if you don't have insurance, for whatever we do basic, we charge you $520 flat rate. But then when you have insurance, you're looking at 14, 15, 16,000 up to 40,000, depending on what imaging you do. That you're billing the insurance, and the insurance are going to pay what they want to pay, write off what they want to write off, but then they're still going to ask you to pay your co-pay or your deductible. And if you have a bad insurance, you might end up paying of a bill of 20,000, you might end up paying 2,000. Whereas if you had gone cash pay, you would have paid $520. This is not to say not to have insurance, but I'm just trying to say how the system is actually sometimes annoying. But I feel like health insurance, you should have it. But then dental, my experience as well, I went cash pay to just wash my teeth. It was $25, even with all the x-ray, the seeing a dentist, everything. Some places are up to $50, so let me say $50, but I paid $25 cash pay. But then I had insurance, went for the same thing, and then I'm getting a bill of $202 after insurance has paid.
What kind of insurance do you have?
Dental insurance.
We pay $40, but we are through the state, so it depends.
Okay, it also depends on the kind of insurance. So nothing is straightforward.
My friends paid $6,000.
See, what insurance do you have your children for $100?
My husband works.
So yeah, state stuff are actually good. I think if you get a government job or state job, your insurances are good. You pay little and then they cover most, but most of this private. you pay less and then they cover most of the things. But most of these private hospitals are actually, and again, this is state by state. This is my experience in Arizona. It might not be the same anywhere else, so this is just what I think. So most important for me would be health insurance over dental and vision. But of course, if you have teeth problem, because dental issues are also very expensive, and if you have vision problem, it's good to just take it. Life insurance.
Africans, my mom says that
We're not gonna die in Jesus'
we're
name.
not going to die. For me, I think that as young people, we don't look at it, but the thing is that while you're healthy, while you're in good health and able to have it, because a lot of people later in life, you don't know what's going to happen. You're going to have high blood pressure or black. High blood pressure, high cholesterol, things like that. That makes you not less eligible, but you end up being rated. So then you end up paying more. So at a younger age, you're healthier. I tell people get it and then get it for a term of maybe 35 years, 30 years, whatever your insurance will give you. And then just write it out and pay the same amount for that certain number of years and work with somebody who's in your financial corner to help you make sure that you have that amount of savings for retirement. So when you're at retirement, you're not paying for life insurance as well.
So the term after 35 years and the person doesn't die, do they give? Okay, of course, they don't give you back the money, but then does it roll over? Does it continue, or you're gonna start again?
So depending on who you're working with, the person should meet with you and talk to you about those options. Because there are people who, by the time they're 55, they're not done because they lost jobs, things like that, or they weren't working with a financial person. So then they end up having canceled it or waiting too late, and then they're now paying a higher amount. But with me, when I do with a lot of the people that I work with, we make sure that a few years before, while you're still a little bit younger, we extend it if necessary. But we'll look at your financial situation. If you have $500,000 in your investment and you're getting $500,000 in life insurance, I would say maybe get $250 because your family should be able to take care of your financial state, sell your house, pay off your house, all that with what you were going to get anyway.
So okay, I thought after, for example, the term is 35. I thought after 35 years, whatever you sign, whatever premium, let's say you sign up for 200,000, and 35 years is done, that 200,000 is gonna be there until you die.
So if the term is over,
it's over.
There's some companies that'll roll it over into what they call whole life insurance, but it's gonna get way expensive. But there are a couple of companies that they'll roll it over into another term. But what happens? You can pay the same price. Say you had 500,000, the same price. They'll say, okay, now you're gonna have 300,000 for that same price because you're older now and you're more of a risk health-wise.
Okay.
So those are certain options, but not all companies do that. So you have to do your due diligence.
I think we've come to the end of this section. Is there anything you want to tell people? Yeah, credit cards is another thing. Yeah.
I know a lot of people are going to push that on you, especially if you start saying you want a house and things like that. But cash is king here, because I've seen people who go into a place to go get a car, and you can haggle, because when you have cash in hand, you don't go in there and tell them you have cash. You just haggle the price down. And they're expecting, okay, we just took off $2,000. You're going to pay interest on that anyway and make it up. But then you tell them and you say, hey, I have cash, and they can't go back on that. So if somebody said it was a car for 20 and they're willing to bring it down to 17, you say, okay, great, I have 17 cash, and they can't tell you, well, because they're not making that extra interest. So cash is king. Credit cards, we can all start with the point that we want to start, and we're going to pay them off every month. If you have that kind of discipline, kudos, but it's not for everybody. But your credit cards start at like 18 to 29%, so you're on the losing end
if they roll over to the next month. So like I always do, I have credit cards, but then I spend only what I know I can actually pay, and I think it has a particular day every month where they calculate that price. So if for some reason you're not able to pay it at the end of the month, but make sure you pay it before the time where they calculate the interest. Over time you will get to know how it works. But credit cards are for different reasons. So why I actually use credit cards, there are some cards that actually accumulate points for when you want to travel. It gives you points for flight, for hotels, and all of that. And then there are also some that gives little cash back. So basically just use it as a debit card while you're building your credit and while you're actually being responsible with it. So make it work for you than actually against you. So when I first came, I started with a secured card, and that was just to build the credit. So that card only had 200 in it, so the only thing I could spend was $200. Of course, that's little, so I was able to pay back as much as I spent. And then after some time, when they found out that I was responsible, they increased it to $1,000, and then to 1,003, to 1,005. Now it's at 2,500. So it keeps going up like that. And also, if you come in and you have a friend who has a credit card, they can also send you their link. Like I sent my link to someone, and the person started at $1,000, and his credit also boosted because of my record. But then it has to be someone that trusts you and know that you're credit worthy to be able to do that for you. But overall, I think the benefits outweighs the, or
No.
maybe it's like 50-50 if you actually use it well. So it's not free money. It's not free money. The interest rate is terrible. Imagine paying 29% on something. It's like you borrowed $1 from that credit card, but you have to pay back $29. And that is just if you don't pay back in 1 month. The next month it doubles. So the next one you're paying about $58 for $1 you.
Yeah.
I guess we'll come to the end of today's section. Thank you very much for honoring my invitation. And yeah. All right. See you guys later.